We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers, like our Facebook page, or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, soon to be coming back to downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for letting us use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Our guest tonight is
Mandy Lion,
former World War III lead singer.
Yep.
And he's got a new album that is supposed to be coming out this 2021.
Yep.
And
we're working on a new autobiography.
Yep, and also a comic book.
Yeah, to accompany that.
So this is a part 2 with Mandy, and the last time we had him on the Nothing Shocking podcast was with our old co-host Bob Zerl, and he had kind of explained how the album that he had been working on was kind of in its premature stages, and so now the material's recorded. Now I believe what Mandy said was they're kind of shopping it around a little bit to see what's going on. It's not titled yet. They're kind of holding off, but it's the first album he feels like he's truly satisfied with vocally, correct?
Yeah, he was pretty excited about it, and so we're excited to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, music news. I just found out here, Jeff, that Black Sabbath is re-releasing on double LP, double CD, 2 CD, 2 album, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules.
Awesome.
Of course, it's with Ronnie James Dio on vocals. It's newly remastered. It's got new unreleased music. The live version of Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules available today on digital singles as well. So go figure.
Awesome. Yeah, cool.
So there you go. That's our music news. So should we get to our interview with Mandy Lion?
Yep.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Mandy, welcome to welcome back to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I want to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Yeah, hi, Mandy. This is great to talk to you tonight.
Great talking to you, even though I can't hear either one of you well.
So
we'll try to talk louder.
Yeah, we're going
to be a mess.
Oh, no. We're going to get this going the right way. So let's get right into this. 2021 is going to be an exciting year for you. You have a new album coming out. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I had moved to Vegas with a purpose. You know, I wanted to make a record because, my friends all know that I've never been happy with my previous recordings. And I just wanted to before I leave this earth, I wanted to make a record that I'm really proud of. And I knew that the talent pool is really deep in Vegas. And I figured, this would be the place if I ever get to do the album I want to make, it would be in Vegas. So I came out here and I asked everybody who the most talented cats in town were, and I got 2 names all the time, and one of them was Ron Mancuso.
Yeah.
So, so I got together with him. I had known him from, I'd seen him in Red Dragon Cartel when he played bass. I didn't know how good of a guitar player he was until I heard him. But I heard a lot of good things about him. We started working together. And, It took us a while to find that thing that works for both of us, but once we found it, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, it's really the first time where I can honestly say I'm 100% happy with the results. I'm excited about the record.
Awesome. Fantastic. How did your approach writing this album differ opposed from albums in the past of your catalog?
Well, the approach is the same. You know, I have a certain way to write, you know, and Ron has his way to write. And when you're working with somebody, it's a little bit of a give and take. But it's just, the trick is to find somebody and find a musical niche where you can do your best work. You know, like, for example, Pavarotti is probably one of the greatest singers of all time. But if you put Pavarotti and have him sing, put him in AC/DC, it would be the most horrific thing you've ever heard, you know. So that's an extreme example, but it really is. If you find your wheelhouse, if you find that thing where you're really good, then that's where you can do your best work. And I've never been able to do that before until now.
Oh, fantastic. Go ahead, Jeff.
You've got a unique voice. Is there anything you do to keep yourself healthy as far as singing? Like, do you have any special warm-ups, or what's your approach?
Well, my warm-up is the first song I sing. You know, when I go on stage, honestly, brother, I don't even really know what I'm doing. I kind of, when I started singing, it was more of an anger thing, you know, because I had a pretty horrible childhood. So the first time I started singing, it just came out a certain way. Yeah. You know, because all of that frustration, anger, and pain, you know, just came out that way. And, you know, I wouldn't know how to warm up if you showed me. So,
yeah, that's all right.
You know, I just go out there and start yelling at people.
Would you say the writing process for you, has it evolved, matured? You know, and if so, can you give us an example of, you know, how you wrote music back in the 90s opposed to how you're doing it now? How has it all came about for you? Do you feel like there's a difference? Do you feel like you, a seasoned veteran when it comes to writing song?
Well, I think, for one, if you as you grow older, you should be getting better, you know, and with the way I sing, it's, if a normal singer would be like jogging, what I do is like powerlifting, you know, it's like there's just so much air that has to be moved, and you know, it's not simple, you know, it's not easy to do, even if some people may think it is. So as you get older, I think that I've gotten more control of the beast, so to speak. That's one thing. Okay. And then, of course, the biggest difference, I would say, is lyrically, because when I first started writing, I was really young, you know, World War III. I was still in my teens when I did that. And when you have the drummer from Black Sabbath and the bass player from you know, Dio and Rainbow in your band, and you are very much willing to compromise because these are your heroes, you know, and you feel lucky that they left Dio to be in your band, and so I didn't get to do exactly what I wanted to do. We just kind of did what made everybody happy. And again, lyrically, you know, when you're 18, 19 years old, I mean, I was horny. You know, what can I tell you? So, you know, I wrote about the things that interested me at that time, you know, and at that time, that was my drug, you know, that was my escape. So that's what I wrote about for the most part. If I made the same record today, it would be sad, you know, and if I would have made a record like I'm doing today back then, it would have been dishonest, because a child does not know how to talk about the things that I talk about now, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, very well said. Let's talk about the recording process. You know, with COVID-19 being what it is, you know, what challenges did the pandemic give you when recording new material?
You mean what challenges with the pandemic as far as like the recording process is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, as far as has it been you by yourself sending files over via Dropbox and emailing and things like that, or has it been a collaboration? Were you still able to get together in the studio and collaborate together, per se?
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness, we have technology these days that allows us to, to work even when we're not in the same room. So, but, I've always kind of written at least lyrics by myself, because, it's like I like to have like a basic idea of the song, a basic arrangement. And then once I have that, then I take it home, I listen to it, and I try to not really write, but, just think about it and let it flow. And then I could usually, when I have a good idea, write it down, I come back and sing it.
Oh, very good.
Nice.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, that was just my question. I was going to ask about your songwriting process. Do you come up with the music or melodies first, or do you come up with lyric ideas and then try to match them up?
That usually happens at the same time. Usually when you have words, they come with a certain flow.
Nice.
And when you have a riff, a good riff, then you kind of know where the pockets are, where you should be putting your words. It usually once I actually sit down and write something, I have a melody in mind.
Oh, so
Nice.
cool. So let's get back to the new album. When is the anticipated date? Do we know a date per se when the album is going to be released? And also, do we have a title? Is it going to be under your name? Is it going to be under World War III? How's this all going to work for you?
It's definitely not going to be World War III. I mean, to me, World War III was Jimmy Bain. If Jimmy Bain is not involved, then I'm not interested in doing anything World War III. Plus, I think that is a bad name to have, with the internet, because if you're running a search for World War III, you're going to get World War III prediction pages, World War II memorial pages. It's going to be hard for, and we don't know the name yet. We also don't know the name of the album yet. As far as releases are concerned, we're not sure when we put the album out, but we are in the process of shooting 2 videos right now for the first 2 singles. And that we're looking at probably about anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks at the longest for the first one to come out.
As far as, we just had Chad Slig, formerly of Black Star Riders, on, and he was kind of talking in regards to, a lot of artists are releasing singles opposed to releasing full-length albums. Some bands are choosing to release 5-song EPs. Was the premise of releasing a full-length album always at the core of what you wanted to do?
Well, I do want to release a full-length album. I just don't think that nowadays it's important what you do first. I don't think we need to put out an album first and then singles. I think we're going to use a couple of singles to drum up a little bit of interest as far as letting the fans know where this is going, because the sound is a little different. It's, of course it's heavy, but it's not a heavy metal album. It's imagine if Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath had an evil gothic baby with a major attitude.
Nice.
So it's dark and it's heavy, but I wouldn't say it's metal. So, we'll put out a couple of singles and videos, and we're going to see how people take it.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
You mentioned Ron Mancuso. Who else do you have working on the album with you?
Well, there's of course, Dan McNay is playing bass, and he's one of my favorite bass players ever. He was one of the few people that I always tell people in my whole life I had a lot of bass players, but I really only had 3 real bass players. First being Jimmy Bain, of course. The second being Michael Devin, who is now in Whitesnake, and of course Dan McNay. just a hard-hitting monster. You know, I mean, I always say he slaps the bass like it owes him money.
That's awesome.
He's a fantastic bass player and a great man.
Yeah, a fantastic man. And we loved interviewing him. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit here. You also have a new book on the horizon.
Yep.
When can we expect this book to be on shelves for us to read?
I'm thinking at this point, because those 2 singles that we're going to put out, there's actually 3 songs on the new record that kind of tell a little bit of the story of my life, because I had a really messed up childhood. And I think by the time we put out, the song titles are Red Rain and Bloodstorm, the 2 singles that we're going to put out. And I think by the time we're putting out the second single, I think that should be around the time I'm going to put out the book. And there's also going to be a comic book along with it for people who don't like to read much, but still want the story, and you get the pictures to go along with it.
Nice.
And by the way, I just got to say this: the artist that we found for the comic book is absolutely amazing. His name is Ren Wong, and he is an unbelievably talented artist. I mean, he's so passionate and so incredibly gifted. I have no words. I'm looking forward for people to see what he did. I mean, looking at the pictures he drew literally took me back to my childhood. It was painful, but that also means it was effective.
Yeah. Well, that you kind of stole my next question, but I'm gonna try to reword it. So, the comic book is also coming out. Probably I take it it's coming out right around the same time as the novel, as your book, as the novel, correct?
That would be ideal. Yes, that would be ideal.
So
if we could put those things out together, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what was the inspiration? How did the comic book idea come across? To do this along with your life story. How did it work out for you?
Yeah, the comic book is based on the book. It's telling the same story. It's just a comic book version of it.
Very good. I guess we'll kind of shift gears on you here. Musicians are storytellers in their song, and how do you compare writing a book to writing song? Is it is it somewhat similar, or is it just a total different type of art for you?
It's a totally different thing, man. Honestly, if I would have known what is involved in writing a book, I probably wouldn't have started. See, I know how to write a song, and I know what's involved. And, the great thing with a song is if you have an idea, you can take the idea to the finished product fairly quickly. Once you have it and you have the right musicians in the studio, you can get that done. Writing a book, especially for I'm not a writer, and I didn't want to go with a ghostwriter like a lot of people do.
Right.
I wanted to write it myself, but that also means, this is years of work. First you put the story down, and then you read it, and you realize, oh my God, I sound like an idiot, and then you rewrite it and try to word it better, and then you think you did it, and then you read it again. It's like it's still not there, and then as you're reading it, you realize you forgot things, and the trick with a book I learned is in the rewrite. So when you're writing a book, you're not just writing it once, unless you're a super talented, writer, which I'm certainly not when it comes to books. So I'm probably in the 5th or 6th rewrite, and it's finally reading decent. I just want it to be from me to you, so to speak. I didn't want anybody in between. Yeah. But which also means, you're going to have to read a book from somebody that's less talented than Shakespeare.
He's a hard act to follow.
No shit.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I guess just back to the Eric's comic book question. So, when did you come up with the idea to add the comic book? Was it when early in the writing, or was it towards the end?
Well, as a kid, I like comic books. I just but I was always more drawn to the more serious comic books. Not so much the superhero stuff.
Right.
Even though I mean that was enjoyable too, but I just felt that especially if you have the right artist, you can tell a story sometimes even more effectively and more powerfully than in a book if it's done right.
Yeah, I was always.
And the trick was. Yeah. So I've always wanted to do that for years. I've been wanting to do that, but I never found the right artist until we found Ren. And he just knocked it out of the park. I mean, he's so incredibly talented. You're gonna when you look at a picture and it almost seems like it's alive.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I can't even draw. When I draw something, I can't even draw a stick figure. It's amazing. I'm so bad that it's almost art again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can totally relate.
So,
if you want to, I'll draw you a picture and send it to you, just so you have something to laugh at.
All right, so I thought I had one more question for you, but actually I have two more questions for you. So, as far as accessibility of the artist and the mystery of rock and roll being non-existent anymore, it used to be when we were kids, we wondered if Kiss were actually human beings. And now we know what they're having for supper, and we also know that Robert Plant likes to go grocery shopping in downtown Austin, Texas. Do you miss the mystery of rock and roll, or do you like the accessibility now?
Yeah, I think that is a big problem. I agree with you. I mean, when I was a kid, when Judas Priest came to town, these cats look larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And nowadays, what people call rock stars, I mean, they're just, your average, everyday kind of person. And I think that's why I should probably be grateful that I had such a horrible childhood, because it made me so weird that I can probably get away with even telling people what's going on, and they still think I'm weird. There's literally nothing normal about me, which is a good and a bad thing, I guess. Yeah. More of a bad thing.
So I have one more question. Jeff, do you have any other questions?
I have a couple.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead. You take the next question.
Let's see here. Oh, when I was doing some research today, I came across there was a picture of you sitting on a motorcycle, and I think in the article you referred to it as the Phantom, 8-cylinder,
correct,
1,500-pound, 600 horsepower. Can you talk about that motorcycle?
Yeah, it's actually 2,000 pounds, and it puts out 730 horse. It has a 502 big block hopped up. And we're actually thinking about maybe putting it in the new video, because I don't think many people have seen anything like that.
No, that's awesome.
Do you have another one?
But I like things big. What can I say?
Yeah. I have the George Lynch album that you did. You worked on 2 songs with him in 1993, Sacred Groove, The Beast, Part 1 and 2. How did that come about, working with George Lynch?
Well, it was. I think the idea for him was he wanted to do an album with his favorite singers from different subgenres. Like all hard rock and metal, but he wanted the really melodic guys. He wanted somebody bluesy. And then he wanted somebody really heavy. And I think at the time he was trying to decide between Phil Anselmo and Rob Halford. And a mutual friend of ours, his name is Jim Marino, gave him a demo that I had made recently, and I guess George liked it, and he called me and asked me if I wanted to do it. And since I've always loved his guitar playing, I was on board, of course. He's a great writer. He's a brilliant guitar player, probably one of the best of all time. So it was a great honor, it was great fun. And funny thing was, when the record company heard that George Lynch was going to do a song with Mandy Lion. They're like, this is the end of his career. You can't have this crazy guy come in and destroy your reputation, you know? And but it turns out that song ended up being, once they heard it, once they had it, was the only single that was released. So it turned out it didn't ruin his career, thank goodness.
Yeah.
It might have ruined him a little bit, but that's just the effect I have on people.
All right, I have one last question for you. So, COVID-19 has taken a lot of things away from a lot of people. You've always been known to be a workout fanatic. What challenges has COVID-19 brought you as far as your workout schedule has gone, or workout regime?
Really none, because I have all my workout equipment at home. I've been social distancing since birth. So to me, my life really hasn't changed all that much. I have everything I need in-house, so I never really need to leave the house. I can totally torture myself all by myself all day long. Perfect.
Wow. Here I thought, you being what you are, like, he's got to go to one of these meathead gyms. Yeah, your arms are huge, so I thought, oh, man, he's got to go to one of the big meathead gyms. But do you do it at home, huh?
What was that?
You do your workouts at home. There's no going to a gym. You got everything right there. I thought for sure, with knowing what I know, that how much you train and work out, I thought for sure you'd go to one of those big gyms.
No, I mean, I literally have everything at home. I have a full-on, workout machine that does like everything, and then I have free weights. I have, pull-up bars. I have a treadmill. I have everything. I have everything I need. And then the good thing is you don't have any excuses. You don't have to get ready and make time and drive somewhere. I mean, especially with COVID, you're sitting there and like, what are you going to do? Throw a bunch of weights around, and afterwards you're a whole lot less frustrated than you were before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I wish I would have. I wish I would have talked to you back in March, because I've been unmotivated during the entire COVID, and I've been trying to figure out how to get out of this funk, and I'm the exact opposite. I have a elliptical at home, and I have some stuff, but yeah, it's a coat hanger right now.
So you're having trouble getting motivated?
Yes.
Here's what you need to do. Just watch a bunch of videos on YouTube of soy boys going around, making people, embarrassed and shit. Yeah. And then you watch 300. The first one, not the second one. The second one was horrible.
The first one's on.
Watch that. Right. Once you watch 300, you're going to be like, you know what? I got to go to work, man.
Yeah.
That's so true.
I'm starting tomorrow.
There you go.
All right, so we're out of time. We've pretty much went through all of our questions that we had for you tonight. Is there anything that we missed for plugging and from promoting for you? Anything?
I mean, just if people want to find me, you can find me obviously on YouTube. I have a channel. I haven't put anything up yet because I'm in a while, because I'm not the kind of person that puts up stuff unless something is happening. Same thing. You can find me on Instagram at Mandy Lion Rock. I'm not on Facebook. I despise Facebook. Even though I know Instagram is owned by Facebook, and I'm probably at some point going to jump off of that too. But right now, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube, and that's about it.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, this is how it's going to work out, like always. This episode should be out about 2 weeks. We have a couple episodes to release before yours. And, of course, I'll send you all the episodes that release, like I always do.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. So, that being said, yours will be out in about 2 weeks, and you'll be the first one to get the download for it. So, other than that, we want to thank you again for coming on the Nothing Shocking podcast, and we just appreciate all your time that you give us.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, I'll be in touch with you in about 2 weeks, all right?
Sounds good, brother.
Right. Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You get